Hey Rebels, my name is Matthew Barton, and I'm the host of the Rebellion Brewing podcast. Today's guest is Rebellion's taproom manager, Genma Scobie. She's been plugged into the Regina craft beer scene for years, and is one of the hosts of the Lady Rebels Beer Club. They're a group dedicated to celebrating craft beer and great food, and bringing women along. I wanted to ask her where she thinks the craft beer scene is going, and what she thinks the next big thing is for the craft beer scene in Regina. Jen, welcome to the show.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
How's it going?
I'm pretty good. It's been a good day.
We got brand new mics for the show.
I know, these are fancy.
Hopefully the audio is sounding really great to the listeners now compared to our old ones.
Yeah, no more rustling and bathroom doors and
toilets flushing.
all the fun things.
So let's start at the very beginning. How did you get involved in craft beer?
Well, it was involved in the craft beer scene in Regina. Let's do that. It was by fluke, actually. I've always been a lover of beer and craft beer itself. That is a whole other story. But Bushwhacker was it. Here in Regina, that was really the only place besides Brewster's to go. And we loved live music and the food there, of course. So I became a regular there in my very young 20s. That's, where everyone was going. It was the hype place to be in our generation anyways, when you were in university. That feeling of home and camaraderie that you got from there. And of course, I got to know the servers really well. And I was an esthetician at the time. And so all of a sudden one day, Cheryl Tovey, who is the lead queen of the Bushwhacker, came in and was my client as an esthetician. And then I thought, hey, let's pick this up because I was going back to university, and I became a part-time server. And the rest is history. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the idea of it, the art of it, the story, the history, the fact that I worked in this local gem in the city. And I really started wrapping my palate around crazy, bold, unique things. I'm not normal, so it was really nice to be around people as well that aren't normal. And the beer wasn't normal, and it was fun.
When you're into craft beer at that kind of time, you kind of got to you're walking to the beat of your own drum.
Absolutely.
And so you also were dabbling with stuff like heavy metal music, a little unorthodox.
Yes.
So what was your favorite beer at the Bushwhacker? And you're not drinking the regular Budweiser, Molson Canadian stuff. What were you drinking at the Whacker?
Well, my palate loved malty beers, so I was really into the Sodbusters, the Palace Reporter, anything that they brought out that was really dark. I absolutely loved. I wasn't a big fan of the lighter. They're a British, more English style brewery, so really malt forward, which I was okay with. But I really like the dark, the roasty, the chocolatey, the stuff that like punched you in the back of the eyeball. That was me. Yeah.
My earliest Genma Scobie memory is you had just started at Rebellion, and we were trying to figure out that Regina thing of how we knew each other. And you realized I would always order a Last Mountain and a cheesecake at Bushwhacker, and you're like,
oh my God, you're the cheesecake guy. Yeah, I know you. You always sat along the wall with a bunch of your friends, and you always ordered your cheesecake first. That was weird.
That's my earliest memory of you, is having a conversation with you. Well, I always figured life was too short, so I had to have cheesecake first.
Hey, that makes sense. And honestly, too, Regina not being a big city, I look at Cheryl and I see how many people know her, and they know of her, and they know what she does, and I never, as you continue into the industry, you never think of that about how many people are actually watching you. But the fun fact is that I'm also watching the customers. So I might not know your name, I might not know your wife's name, but I know what you drink, and I generally know what you're going to eat, and I generally know how much time you're going to spend there. I know how much you're going to tip. I know all those things about you. So then when you see me in Walmart and you stop to like further a conversation with me that we had at one point when I was serving you, I like start getting spicy pits and I get really nervous and like I don't remember what we talked about. I don't know your name and I like run for the hills. It's the life of a server who's an actual introvert.
Spicy pits aside, what's your favorite craft beer right now?
Right now, oh gosh.
You know all about your customers. You know their tipping preferences and what they want to drink.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to drink right now?
My absolute go-to beer, no matter what, doesn't matter if I love or hate all the seasonals on tap, and because I basically live in the tap room, it's the Zilla IPA, hands down. I absolutely love that beer. But fun fact is I just said how I only ever drank dark beers and malty beers in the past. It wasn't until 2014, 13, when the old brewer at Bushwhacker, Mitch, he brewed something called the Cascadian Black IPA. So all of a sudden, my mind just exploded. I'm like, what is this? Black IPAs became one of the number one seller in North America. I wasn't really aware of it. And boom, I 1 pint in, and maybe because I hadn't eaten anything, and it was a really strong beer. But I was sitting along the bar, and I just remember like wrapping my arms around Mitch. And I was like, Mitchy, baby, you made one hell of a beer. And I had a hangover for like a week straight from that beer. And that was where I got introduced to IPAs. Definitely. So, and now I love the big, bold, punchy, piney, kick you in the face IPAs. I love them.
Let's talk about today's beer.
Yeah, so let's go back to the malt. Let's go back to the darkness. Let's go back to the dark side.
Rebellion just launched the Winter Warmer, which is 7.5% ABV, bigger beer. What all is in it?
It is an amalgamation. It's a massive blend. So the fine folks at Last Mountain Distilleries lent us a few barrels of that at one time had rum and whiskey. One had rum, one had whiskey, two had rum, two had whiskey. I don't know. So we put our brown ale into those barrels and we aged them. And we also put in some sour. And we put in a bunch of things, some lactose. So we basically took 3 beers. I think the Night Viper too is in there. So
Night Viper,
yeah, so it was Night Viper and it was the brown ale with rum and whiskey and a little bit of sour on top. So yeah, I'm really excited for this beer. Why not? Why not put 3 brilliant things together, add a little bit of rum and wood, and see what happens. It's so fun to work at Rebellion. That's what she said. Because why not? Experiment. Have at her. Have fun.
Okay, this one also has a bunch of lactose in it. I can't have it. So I will live vicariously through you while you drink it. And then you got to tell me what you're smelling, tasting,
Okay.
and experiencing.
So I can't even cheers you. I'm going to cheers the bottle it came in. Cheers. Wow. Well, looking at it, it is a dark, not black, more of a brown color. It's caramely brown. The smell is very sweet. Not a lot of roast character, but very nutty and sweet and chocolate. And the palate is quite explosive. Biggest thing right off the hop is fruit. I get a lot of dark fruit. However, I know that sour's in there because right at the back of my palate on the sides, it tingled. That bittering agent was there. That sour bitterness was there. Sorry, I should say sour, not bitter. The sourness was there. And there's the oak finish. And that rummy oak finish is in there right when you breathe out. This is a very complex, beautiful beer.
What would you eat with it? Or would you take it for dessert?
It could be definitely a dessert beer. It packs a punch at 7.5%. So, warm it up a little bit in a snifter. I don't microwave it. Some lady asked me that. I said, oh my gosh. I said, just warm it up a little bit and have at her. Enjoy it. And she goes, well, how many seconds? I said, what? Well, how many seconds do I warm it up for? In the microwave. I'm like, oh, sweetheart.
Don't microwave your beer.
Please don't microwave your beer.
Here's something I wanted to ask you. How has the craft beer scene changed since you got started? I mean, that's a big loaded question.
That's a big question. It has changed night and day here in Regina, in Saskatchewan. It has exponentially changed. Well, since 2007, when I kind of started getting my foot into it to where we are today. So, holy crap, that was well over 10 years ago. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Damn.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
I'm not. I'm fine. Yeah, the light came on. Okay, so from there to now, what do I say? I say things like it's not just one restaurant anymore, brew pub doing it. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people have gotten so excited over it. The biggest thing that I really like to see, and this I've seen the change, is seeing rural Saskatchewan come out and go, we are a part of this too. Really getting the farmers involved and getting them excited of the fact that without them, without this beautiful grain belt that we have that is so close to home, literally a 15-minute drive from your house, is exponential to see them get excited that their product is being drank and loved by everybody. I love the culture that is derived from it, the taproom mentality, the fact that we're not pounding Pilsners in a gravel pit and doing U-balls in the Walmart parking lot and hoping to, dodge the cops. Like, that's no longer, right? We are actually seeing this as a more refined thing, and more of an art. And watching the industry itself, where all these creative people are coming out and able to do things like create the beer, and then someone comes and markets the beer, and then someone comes and sells it, and another one is creating the experience. It's beautiful. And the camaraderie within the SCBA, seeing that develop.
The Saskatchewan Craft Brewers Association.
Absolutely. Watching that develop. That was it. Some people might ask, why did you leave the Bushwhacker? And that was the biggest thing, was because I saw that there was this niche happening. There was a hum in the city. There was a hum amongst everyone that was within Ales, which I was friends with a lot of those guys.
The Ales and Lagers Enthusiasts of Saskatchewan Club, the homebrew club that operated in the basement of Bushwhacker.
Right. So if I wasn't participating with them, I didn't necessarily homebrew. But if I would go down and have a few meetings and say hi after the meeting, and had been drinking for the last hour and a half, and then they get their wings and a pint, and well, I listened to them, right? Because I'm their server, and the things that they had to say and see, and I knew something was happening, and bless Bushwhacker for what it is, but I wanted to move forward. I wanted to expand as well and get out there. And what I've seen is just remarkable. From Rebellion to multinational to Pile of Bones, what those guys are doing is absolutely beautiful. The fact that, Glenn and his crew put their hearts on their sleeves and said, we're going to showcase everybody, and also have their own identity and be able to keep that. It's 22
taps at Pile of Bones?
32.
32.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of friggin' beer.
It's a lot of beer, and it's all Saskatchewan. So, because back in 2009, there was no way you could even get more than 10, if that. Because the places that you could get them, they didn't like to share their stuff very much. And it's because they couldn't make as much, right?
You tell me some pretty good yarns. You always are telling me some pretty good stories. What would be a highlight of your craft beer career? Would it be traveling over to the States for the Craft Brewers Conference? Do you have something that sticks out in your mind you're going to say that was life worth living?
That's a tough one, because I try my hardest every day to live life to its fullest. I really do. And I know that sounds so cliche and dumb, but I take pride in the smallest things.
Why do you do that? What inspires that?
Because Saskatchewan is so tiny and humble, and when we get to self high five ourselves, over the accomplishments that we've done, and when we put ourselves on the map, and when people, like, even when I get those little emails of like, when you're bringing your beer to Alberta, and I'm like, hey, come on down to Saskatchewan, you goof. It's a pretty cool place to be. But highlights, definitely
meeting me.
Of course, cheesecake. I definitely a highlight for me would be I'd have to say when I got the call from Mark and he said, we'd like to have you on board. And I knew from there my life was going to change. And I knew that I was going to fit in. I just knew that I was going to love this job, and I knew that I was going to prevail at it. Other highlights, definitely Denver, Colorado was a huge eye-opener. And just getting all that opportunity to really expand my knowledge. And, quite frankly, the first 6 months that I worked at Rebellion, I learned more about beer itself than I did in the decade I was at Bushwhacker, for sure.
When I saw you guys at the Lady Rebels Club, it was a totally different vibe from how the tap room is. Like, not just Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It was electric in there. And it was a room full of women. I was like the odd guy out. Never had that feeling before. But, man, everybody was so passionate and excited about craft beer. I've never felt that kind of energy before. And it feels like you helped build that.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I can't take full responsibility for that. That was developed by the original manager of Rebellion and Vanessa, our head brewer. But when I came on, I think, I was able to take it a little bit further in regards to the marketing of it, the funness, and then just also the people, right? It became more eclectic. There's so many different people now that come, all ages, all shapes, sizes, races, and of people that identify themselves. It doesn't matter. We don't discriminate on that stuff. And all they're there to do is just get out of the house and have a good time and drink weird beers and listen to us all be silly on the mic and eat and have a good time. We did the road trip this year, which was an absolute sellout, knockout.
The Lady Rebels road trip to Nokomis?
Yes. That was so much fun. The food, how accommodating Nokomis was. We do one for, we try and within our months as well, we do one road trip to another brewery. So I know in February, we're hoping to get to the new Pile of Bones so that we can see that facility. And last year we did the original Pile of Bones down in the parkade of O'Hanlon's. And watching Glenn do his thing amongst all these women, it was just brilliant. And he said the same thing as you. He came to me and said, Jenny, by the way, he's the only person that can call me Jenny. He's like, Jenny, I just love you guys. You guys are just amazing. I had no idea what I was getting into. Y'all listened and it was just amazing. And I said, yeah, we got a killer set of women that just like to get out, have fun.
Do you have to be a hardcore craft beer fan to get into the Lady Rebels?
Oh, not at all. No. We buy all sorts of beers to try and pair. And some we make fun of, some we make it. We just had a beer cocktails event. So we added juice and champagne to a beer. We added Paperback Bevco, a local place here in Regina. We added their vegan Caesar mix to a beer. And then we did a shot of Outlaw Trail Spirits lemon vodka in a beer. So, and that's the biggest thing when I say to the customers, you don't have to say you love it. Like, you don't have to lie to me.
Yeah.
You're not going to hurt of all people, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I don't have any, so it's fine. But yeah, and so I was okay. The one drink, I'm not going to name the names of it, but I took a sip and I was on the mic and I wasn't even watching what I was doing, but I took a sip and I just went, bleh. And Vanessa's like, oh, Jen, well, tell us how you really feel. And that's okay. You gotta come and experience those things and experiment and you find out more about yourself too and what you like and what you don't like. I all those years of like, oh, I only like malty beers. And now you'll very rarely see me with a malty beer.
Was it you that was telling me one of the members came up to you and said, I never really thought of myself as a craft beer drinker or a beer drinker in general? And then now they felt that being part of the club had changed that whole thing?
There was a lady that said that to actually just yesterday to Vanessa, and so she posted it on our Facebook wall that this happened, and those are highlights of our lives, right? Because we're doing something, we're helping out the community, we're creating culture, we are expanding everyone's horizons, and we're allowing people to explore themselves. It's a beautiful feeling. Some other highlights, I guess I would have to say, is when people contact me and say, I want to do a beer pairing event with you. And I'm like, oh, what do you make? Ice cream. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Or donuts. Yeah, let's do donuts. I make tacos. Double hell yes. Cajun food. I do Cajun food. Okay, let's do that too. And, what a rough life Jen has. She gets to sit 6 weeks prior and eat all this food and pair the beers and take notes. It's a hard job, I tell you. Matt, can I refill my cup?
You can do whatever you want.
I filled a big one.
This is a beer podcast. One of the things I wanted to bug you about was you have this perspective I find a little bit different from mine. Where do you think craft beer is going to go in the next 5 years in Saskatchewan?
I think that there is so much room for more. I think we're going to see little breweries coming up and about in rural Saskatchewan, where there's money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the SCBA is going to grow in the next 10 years. I think we're sitting at 14 breweries, 15.
That sounds about right.
I could see us at around 20 in the next 10 years for sure. I see craft beer getting bigger and better and more aggressive towards the bigger guys that keep stomping us down. Yeah. I see more bikes. I see more brewery tours. I see groups of people just coming to hang out and accept the culture that we are. So Regina has this bad taste from years ago, when there was a lot of specific people that owned a lot of the specific restaurants in the city. And what you did was you went out and you got a Molson cup of shit for $2 and then you got a ton of food for $10. And that's what Regina wanted to see. They wanted to see a lot of food, good food, bad for you food, with cheap beer, as long as it gets me drunk. And that's what they consumed. And so our generation is finally going, no, I need my heart to last. And I don't really care that it's Greek fries and Molson cup of crap.
Shots fired.
I want something a little better, and I'll spend the money on it. I see a lot of collaborations. I see the community finally linking arms and going, let's do this together. And I see a lot more local. I hope to see a lot of the urban centers explode and it gets bigger. I'd like to see the warehouse district and the downtown core become the destination instead of going onto the outskirts.
You mentioned that you could see more collaborations happening. Is it the Memorial Cup that kind of inspires you to think that? Because the city kind of came together to do hockey stuff?
That was huge. I've been serving now for a long time. And I started my career at the old Regina Inn. And that was at the times when like the Royal Red Arabian show, horse show was on, Exhibition, which is happening right now. Back then, the farmers and the people that were a part of that, they didn't, they were off the grounds. Hotels were crazy. Events were crazy. Restaurants were flourishing. Boutiques were being shopped in. All the women that they come off the farm and they wanted to spend their money. now a lot of those facilities are keeping these people on the grounds, and we were getting hurt from it. And I've seen it. I've seen it for the last 10 years, even as a server. As a server, those were the weeks that you accounted for where you had bucks in your wallet. And when they started taking all these people and keeping them on the grounds of the conventions, well, the servers, the little guy, you see it, and it hurts. So what they did with the NHL was amazing, because we all saw our wallets fill up again. And we saw, and the biggest thing for me was being able to sell that experience, to sell the Rebellion experience, but also sell Regina. Even if it's to somebody like from Winnipeg, hey, guess what? We're kind of the same. Your mosquitoes are badass and bigger, but we're kind of the same here. Why not? Why not showcase that? Show each other off. Same with Calgary. The Calgarians were coming and going, we love this place. This is a phenomenal tap room. You guys have so much fun. Yeah, we do. We have so much fun. Well, they don't get that camaraderie in the big cities, right? They don't get that.
Maybe too big.
It's too big.
Huh. I have so many more questions I want to ask you, but I feel like we're running out of time, and I'm gonna have to bring you back on the show.
I've only had one beer. Just kidding. No, that's fair. Well, I know that I helped you in a bit of a pinch, so I didn't know what we were going to talk about, to be honest. So I hope to the listeners that I didn't bore you, but
I wanted to bring you on and give people an insight into one of the minds and hearts behind our tap room and our business. Somebody who's not only a host and ostensibly pulling pints and serving, but is one of the creative forces behind what we're doing and making things happen. Like, our birthday party is such a big deal. And I was trying to explain to somebody, this is the biggest deal for me all year, is the party. And I love it. It makes me feel so proud to be part of Rebellion. And there's you, like, grinding to the knuckle all the way to get this party, like, going. And then it happens and you're just like, okay, I can relax.
I slept for over 12 hours on my day off. Well, because we got nailed with the rider game the next day too. So it was solid Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of just go, 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 go. And Mark, he sends us to some coaching sessions once in a while as leaders. Another highlight of my job. And so I was sitting with my coach, and it was 2 days before the anniversary. And like, I just ugly girl cried the entire session. Like, my nerves were so rattled. And, some things had internally gone askewed. And so I wanted to talk to her about that. And when I left, I apologized to her. She's like, why are you apologizing? I'm like, because all I did was like blew snot bubbles on your table. Like, I'm really sorry. She's like, hey, Jen, that's a part of the job, that anxiety. And I don't know. I just want to make sure everyone's having a good time, and I want to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And I don't want to have anyone come up to me and be like, hey, I haven't seen a server. I haven't, that's a taproom manager's worst nightmare. And it's a industry nightmare. When you see people walking around with the I have to poop face, it's not fun.
Oh my God. Well, this is not just from me, but I think from a lot of us who feel they had such a great time at the party. You should pat yourself on the back and feel good, because it was awesome this year.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a fun one. It was a lot of fun.
That cake kicked ass.
Yes, Sinfully Sweet in Cathedral. Those girls, they nailed it out of the park. And I took them a 4-pack of Night Viper, and I said, please cook with this. And she's like, I don't need this much. I said, I know. Drink the rest.
Well, Jen, I want to thank you for your time today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's, again, yeah, I don't know if it helps you.
Let's not wait another 86 episodes to get you back on the show.
Sure. I like being in the background, just come and experience the tap room, and I might be floating around. I'll wave at you, but that's about it.
Rebels, thanks for listening today. I'm going to include links to the Lady Rebels Beer Club so you can find all the cool stuff Jen and the club are up to and when you can find out about the next event, and make sure you get in there. As you know, this show was never intended to be a one-way conversation. You've given me something precious, your time, and what you have to say is important too. If you'd like to join the conversation and ask our guests more questions or leave comments about an episode, maybe there's a rock to overturn, join us on our new Facebook group page. You can find it on the Rebellion Brewing podcast on Facebook. Just come in, join, share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear from you. I'm also proud to let you know that the Rebellion Brewing podcast is an affiliate member of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. If you're into podcasts and you're looking for great content produced right here in our province, the Sask Podcast Network at saskpodcastnetwork.com is a great one-stop shop to discover local stories to listen to. As always, if you want to find the latest news about Rebellion Brewing, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Untappd. Thank you for joining the Rebellion.